Alright guys, quick little update on the 82 Yoda. She doesn't have the rock sliders on yet, but I have them at home. I just have to put them on. I don't do the best welding myself. I'm still learning, so we got plans to do a rear rack, kind of a rack slash roll bar type situation. It's got a 1-inch body lift, and there's more lift built into the front hanger. If you can kind of see that, it's kind of built more. I think these are stock Toyota rear leaves from like a stock height stock truck. The rear leaves, I believe, is what these are. These aren't necessarily a lifted arc. I believe that's how I bought this truck. That's how the previous owner, there was a couple previous owners that were friends that kind of went back and forth, and one of the guys was kind of a semi-good to janky mechanic, and he did some of the work on this. And there was also some work done on this truck at the LA regional, the occupational center in the San Fernando Valley, in the North Valley. They had the students in the automotive shop did some resto work on this truck at one time. It was a long bed. It's been bobbed back to a factory 6-foot bed, and that was done at the occupational, for the automotive students. They did that. I think they painted the white on it. What else did they do there? This bumper came with the truck, and they did the 22RE swap on the truck. Excuse the phone there for a second. But yeah, just a basic 22RE out of an 88 4Runner that was put in this, and they did go ahead, and it does have the California legal cert from the the EPA from the state of California that's been certified engine swap, which really makes a lot of sense, because all you're doing is just making the car, it's basically the same engine from the carbureted engine. You're just making it fuel injected and making it even more better for emissions. So yeah, it's got the 22RE, which is in my opinion quite a bit better when you're doing any kind of I wouldn't really necessarily say it's any more reliable than the carbureted motors. There's nice things about the carbureted motors because you can just tune them and fix them with a screwdriver. There's not too much to go wrong. This has got all the sensors and the extra electronics on it for the fuel injection. But I've owned many of these vehicles, and the Toyota fuel injection from the 80s and 90s is very reliable as well, and they're very easy to understand and to also to find parts for. But it can be a few more things to go wrong. But obviously the 22RE is much better when you start pitching the truck on its side or going up or down any type of surface like that on an angle. I'll start it up for you real quick. Make sure it's out of gear here. Or we were in gear. So I got it running pretty good at the moment. I've had this truck for a little over 10 years now, I want to say, something like that. And it's you know, it's ran pretty good different times, but there's a few issues you have with these older motors. I was having some issues with the throttle body and the throttle cable, and I was able to kind of work that out. I found a new throttle body and traded some springs out and kind of rebuilt one, and a new cable, and also the TPS, the throttle position sensor. I found a couple throttle position sensors and found one that was working really good, that still snapped back really well. It's important that you take them apart and make sure they're really snapping back with a good spring. And then I reset it properly with an ohmmeter, which is what you have to do. And once I did that, this setup seems to be working pretty well. It's performing really well. It's idling well, running well on the road. So that's pretty much what we have going on here. Just basic 22RE conversion, and then we've got the basically the 86 and up brake booster master cylinder set up on this for your brakes. And then we've also got everything upgraded down here, the later vented style rotors from the 86. They call this the IFS brake upgrade, right? So you got the caliper and the vented rotor that comes with that. And then the rear end, we're running the same thing. They call it an IFS rear end. So from an 86 or newer Toyota truck vehicle, it's 3 inches wider. And you know, there's still more work to be done with the truck. I gotta trim those U-bolts, and you'll see different things that still need to be done. There's no bump stops on the truck right now. We're just kind of taking it out and just test driving it lightly today. Still trying to figure out a few things with the truck, what exactly I want to do with it, as far as keeping the 1-inch lift. And let me turn it off real quick again. Give you a look under here. We do have a Marlin Crawler dual transfer case, brand new. Installed that myself. That was one of the bigger jobs I've ever undertaken. You know, had some custom welding done for the cross member. Because why did we do that? Because this particular truck, instead of going with the L series transmission, which is what this generation of pickup comes with, we went to the next generation. I went to a W56 because I liked that style. I like the separation between the two shifter gears for your 5-speed and your 4-wheel drive. So when you do that, that transmission is 6 inches or so longer, so that pushes it into a custom mounting type situation. Right here, some people run like U-bolts and things over the frame, and they just do it that way, and it definitely works. There's no problem with that. To me, this is way better. This is how I was described from the guy from Yoda Masters. He described this to me. It's a little more of a challenging job. Excuse me. Because if you look, the place where you have to make the bracket is right where the frame goes from like parallel to angling inward. And you actually have to put that angle or bevel shape. You have to kind of trace that out and recreate that. And it's a little more work, but I think when you're doing it this way, you're just getting even more support for your custom kind of cross member here. And this thing is 3/8 plate steel, and it's mounted to both transfer cases. So you're super heavy duty. And these Toyota frames, a lot of people don't realize, but these were some of the toughest truck frames ever built. They're fully plated all the way around, which is sort of a rare thing to see in certain trucks. So there's no problem with the strength of this vehicle handling what people do to these with the extra upgrades. And so And they'll just bring us back into here for the finish up before we run out of video here. But say hi.
Hi.
Hey babe, this is Jessica. And this is kind of what we did inside here with the shifter setup. There's no twin stick or triple stick as they call it, where you get the both shifters or 3 shifters in one spot, or up here they do it, and the you know, there's advantages, disadvantages to that. It gives you an extra option as far as I understand. You're able to use one of your lower crawler gears in like 2-wheel drive, and there's a few advantages to having it that way. I just kind of decided to go this setup, just more old school. I like that style. If you're wondering what that little cable thing is, that's a cable tie thing that for me, this shifter can't move anywhere but this direction, and this one can't move anywhere but this direction from here. So it just keeps everything locked. Not that it ever would move, because you got the Marlin Crawler heavy duty detent balls. This is all heavy duty, you know, the action on the shifters, but it's even more redundancy. I got the dog in here moving around. You just never know. So it keeps those things from happening. And like I said, we got a little bit different shifter handle that's in there than the stock one. You know, AutoZone shifter handle. Don't make fun of it. It's actually mounted properly. We took the Toyota female thread from another shifter and put it in there properly, so it's not mounted the same way that how the AutoZone one comes. It's mounted a little differently. I don't know if the camera's going to focus on that, but yeah, the truck's in pretty good shape. It's got the inclinometer that does still work. Pretty much everything on the truck pretty much still works. The odometer does not work. I have no idea how many miles were on the motor or how many miles are on the motor. Seats are trash, but we have plans to do the seats, do the proper like 4 or 5 point harnesses. What else do we got plans? Like I said, the rock sliders are going on, but I'm figuring out how I'm going to incorporate all that with the it's going to be kind of like a bed rack roll bar that's going to be tied through the bed into the frame. So that's our kind of plan, and we want to do a custom front bumper. This is kind of some kind of a pre-made bumper from back in the day that somebody made to bolt on or something. I'm not quite sure the story on where this one came from, but it's the one that came with the truck. For me, it's just a little bit, I want to go one size bigger on the tubing and make it look a little bit beefier, and then also go with a like a stinger bar and a proper winch mount setup and everything like that. Build the bumper around the winch or whatever. I'm not quite sure how I still got to look into that. Kind of learning as you go with these trucks, right? So anyway, that's the update, the story on the truck, where we're at. I'll show you one more thing too before the end of the video. So hopefully but this truck was a center latch tailgate, which it came with, to me, what I would call the most uninteresting of the tailgates that this particular four-wheel drive can come with. And also they're also like a piece of shit. That particular tailgate doesn't have the gussets here, and it's not built as strongly, and this piece always flaps off, and I always thought after a while you always do have problems with the latch. So I always wanted to figure out, can you convert it to the side latch? But not only that, I like what they call the retro tailgate. So I was kind of, like I said, I'm not a master welder or anything like that. I don't even have a machine, so it's not fully done yet. But basically this is what I came up with, was I cut and kind of punched it in there, right? And that's that same notch or divot that would be in the stock bed of the side latch. A truck that would come with the side latch bed and tailgate would have a a divot in here from the Toyota factory. It's obviously doesn't look quite like this, but you can imagine this, what I've shaped out here takes up the space that this piece needs to fall into, right? And then what I did here was just basically take some 1/4 inch steel. And this is nothing like the shape of the stock Toyota piece either. The stock Toyota piece is more of like a little hook, and that works great. But this I've tested it multiple times the way I have it in there, and it's plenty strong. It works plenty good. It works perfectly. And I had to use a special low profile Allen screw that I had to also clearance the head just a little bit more on that. But as you can see, I'm doing all this with one hand, of course. But here, it bolts up just like it should. And then here's your shake test. I mean, we're pretty solid. I would feel confident loading this whole bed up with rock, basically, and taking off. I mean, to me, I almost think it's better having it bolted through than how Toyota, they just did little spot welds from the inside. But anyway, that's the story on the tailgate. You can convert them, and I'm gonna have a guy, or I'm gonna do it myself, or have my welder guy. I'm gonna have him. We're gonna cut some little pieces of sheet metal, and we'll weld that. We'll body that all in and properly. And that's obviously the plans are to repaint the truck. I'm not sure the color yet. Maybe thinking of going this. It was this color, the tailgate. It was the factory beige. You could see on the inside. But it's a work in progress. So just thought I'd bring you guys up to date. She's running good. We're taking her out kind of the middle of the day here on Saturday. It's kind of hot. Maybe we'll shoot some 4-wheel drive video here if my battery lasts long enough.